Today, after we are done, we will be joined by our friend Yasmin Sharif, who, as you know, is the Executive Director of the Education Cannot Wait initiative. She will join you to brief you on her annual report. And a reminder, at 11 a.m. tomorrow, the Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, will be in this room at this table to answer your questions. And that is, of course, the traditional curtain raiser press conference of the Secretary General before the opening of the General Assembly. And of course, there will be no noon briefing. Turning to the situation in Gaza, the Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs tells us that today its team was unable to reach northern Gaza for the first, and they were trying to do that for the first time in 4 weeks. OCHA was leading an interagency assessment mission to Gaza City. However, they were only able to reach the, let's start this again. So I'll read the words that were given to me as opposed to the words that are in my head. Turning to the situation in Gaza, OCHA tells us that its team was able to reach northern Gaza for the first time in 4 weeks. OCHA was leading an interagency assessment mission to Gaza City. However, they were only able to reach the north after being forced to wait for more than 5 hours before and at the Israeli checkpoint on the coastal road. OCHA warns that access to the north remains extremely limited for aid workers from the UN and other organizations. During the first half of this month, out of nearly 50 missions led by seven different UN agencies, all of which would have been fully coordinated with the Israeli authorities, only a quarter could cross into the north through the Israeli checkpoints along Wadi Gaza. Even when these missions could cross, they often faced impediments along the way. Some convoys were stopped at gunpoint, shot at, or forced to wait for hours in the middle of a war zone. These incidents pose unacceptable risks to our staff, safety, and prevented these missions from completing their work. OCHA stresses that even when humanitarian missions are not facilitated, it deprives Palestinians in Gaza of the food, the water, the shelter, the health, and other essential services for their survival. People in Gaza need more supplies, including basic items such as soap to enter the Strip. It is also critical that these humanitarian goods and services reach all parts of Gaza wherever needed. Without an exception, security assurances provided to aid organizations and humanitarian missions must be reliable and fully respected. Turning to Haiti, our humanitarian colleagues report that violence continues to displace families along in the Port-au-Prince metropolitan area. The latest clashes between armed groups in the neighborhoods of Cité du Soleil and Delmas displaced more than 2,000 people last week, and that's just in 2 days between September 11th and the 13th. More than 170,000 people are now displaced in the capital. While most of them are staying with host families, 3 new temporary sites have sprung up. We and our partners in Haiti continue to support people in need across the country, including by providing food, water, sanitation, as well as healthcare support. The International Organization for Migration also continues to distribute blankets, solar lamps, kitchen kits to displaced people. And as the new school year is approaching, the World Food Program plans to provide school meals to 495,000 children. Many of these meals will be sourced from local smallholder farmers. The $674 million humanitarian response plan for Haiti is currently only 39% funded, with $263 million actually received in our bank account. We continue to call for increased support for the humanitarian response to help the Haitian people. Turning to Ukraine, we are told by our colleagues on the ground that overnight attacks have left hundreds of thousands of people without power in the Sumy region in the north of the country. According to local authorities and the regional power company, 280,000 consumers, which include households, public facilities, and businesses, were left without power. Water supply and critical services were also impacted. Water facilities, hospitals, and other civilian infrastructure are right now running on backup systems. Despite the challenging circumstances, humanitarian organizations continue to provide assistance across the country. In the first 7 months of the year, we, along with our partners, provided aid to 6.2 million people. Nearly 2.9 million people received food aid, 1.4 million received health services, and 1 million benefited from winter energy support and distribution of emergency shelter, materials, and essential items. The $3 billion humanitarian response plan is currently only 44% funded, with $1.37 billion received, leaving a significant gap in addressing the urgently needed emergency needs and the preparations for winter. The UN Human Rights Office today issued a latest report on Myanmar detailing a range of serious human rights violations that continue to underscore the deepening crisis and lack of rule of law throughout the country. Since the military takeover on February 1st, 2021, at least 5,350 civilians have been killed, more than 3.3 million displaced, and over half of the population is living well below the poverty line, primarily due to the ongoing military violence. And Jean-Pierre Lacroix, the head of the UN Department for Peace Operations, is currently in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Yesterday, on arrival, he met with the president of the Republic, President Félix Tshisekedi, with whom he discussed the UN peacekeeping mission's support for the ongoing regional peace efforts, as well as next steps for the mission's responsible and gradual disengagement from the DRC. Mr. Lacroix reiterated the UN peacekeeping mission's commitment to support the Angolan-led ceasefire monitoring mechanisms, as well as the Southern Africa Development Community's regional force, otherwise known as SAMI-DRC. You will recall that the force is operating in eastern Congo. The Undersecretary General also met with senior government officials, including the Prime Minister, Judith Sumin-Tuluka, the Foreign Minister, Thérèse Kakiwamba-Wagner, as well as the President of the National Assembly, Vital Kamerhe, among other people. Mr. Lacroix's 5-day visit to the country will also take him to Goma in North Kivu and to Bunia in Ituri, both of those in the eastern part of that country. And in West Africa, the World Food Programme is telling us that it's ramping up its response to flood-impacted areas as the region grapples with record levels of acute hunger. Torrential rains have unleashed catastrophic floods, impacting over 4 million people in 14 countries. WFP is supporting the government by providing critical food and nutrition assistance to nearly 1 million people across the region. In Nigeria's Maiduguri province, WFP set up food kitchens in 4 camps after flooding overran 50% of the town. The food kitchens provide nutritious cooked rice and beans to flood-impacted families who've been forced to flee their homes. In Chad, in Liberia, Mali, and Niger, WFP is providing emergency food and cash assistance to people in hard-hit areas. This crucial assistance enables affected families to meet their basic food and nutrition needs while they try to rebuild their lives. WFP is also calling for investments in early warning systems, anticipatory actions, disaster risk financing, social protection systems to help mitigate floods and climate risks. Wanted to flag that the Secretary General's Scientific Advisory Board met for their first in-person meeting during a retreat at right here in New York last week. They agreed on a joint statement on trust in science, which will provide the foundation for the board's engagement with the United Nations system, the multilateral system writ large, and the public. The Secretary General said at a time of global division, science can be a powerful unifying force, and he endorsed the statement, calling it a source of expertise for the United Nations, helping to strengthen the use of scientific evidence in our work and anticipate emerging risks and opportunities. The board also discussed with the Secretary General urgent topics like synthetic biology, neurotechnology, and artificial intelligence. The Deputy Secretary General also met with them to discuss how science can help accelerate the achievements of the Sustainable Development Goals. The press release was shared with you. And today is World Patient Safety Day. The theme for this year focuses on improving diagnosis for patient safety using the slogan, "Get it right, make it safe." Edie, get it right, make it safe. Or maybe that should be something I say to myself, yes. Yeah. Sorry.
Hi,
Edie, yes.
hi, Steph. Can you tell us what the status of fuel deliveries in Gaza is? Because if this is the first time any UN efforts have gotten to the north, there must be serious fuel
No,
shortages.
it's the first time OCHA has been able to lead a mission to the north from the south. Other agencies I know have gotten goods in from the crossing, from the Erez crossing or Erez West crossing in the north. What is getting in is insufficient. That is clear. The mission was an assessment mission. It was not a fuel mission. I will try to get you a picture of what the fuel situation is. Madame.
Thank you, Stéphane. You didn't start with what happened in Lebanon and in Syria. Hundreds of pagers blew up at the same time across Lebanon today, and killing and wounding more than 2,700. Now the attack has come after
Your microphone a
from
little
Israeli.
closer. Yeah.
It came from the warning from Israeli. But is it just any comment from
Look, wait. I mean, this story was unfolding just before the briefing. We're obviously very much aware of what we've seen in Beirut and other parts of Lebanon. I can tell you these developments are extremely concerning, especially given that this is taking place within a context that is extremely volatile. We don't have any more information than what is being reported in the press. We, of course, deplore the civilian casualties that we've seen, but we're watching the situation. We'll have to say something to say a little bit later. But I think we cannot underscore enough the risks of escalation in Lebanon and in the region. And I think that's very clearly why the Secretary General his message has been one of de-escalation, and the actions of his envoys and his representatives on the ground have been in that line as well. I'm not going to sit here and beg very long, but Benno, please.
Yeah, I wanted to wait for the end, actually, because it's good news. It's the first time in Norway that there are more electric cars than petrol cars on the streets. Is there any comment from your side? Do you think it's a good example?
Yes, congratulations, Norway.
Therefore, I wanted to aid to the end.
Excellent. All right. Don't wait for the end for good news. Deji and then Michelle.
Does the Secretary General have anything to say on the decision by MITA to ban several Russian news outlets because of the acquisition of influence?
No, we don't have a particular comment on that. Okay. Michelle.
Thanks, Steph. Sudan, do you have any updated figures on what's made it through Adre?
No, but we will get those to you. This has been a very useful briefing so far for everybody. Okay. I don't see any other questions. Please, Madame. Hi. Your microphone needs to be on. That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, my name is Malahat Najafova. I am from Azerbaijan State News Agency. So my question is about the COP29 meeting in Azerbaijan. You know, the next week is going to be a very busy week also for the Azerbaijan delegation here. There are going to be a lot of engagements and meetings here. And I would like you to comment about the preparation of Azerbaijan to the COP29, and also is the Secretary General going to attend to this COP29 high-level meeting in Azerbaijan?
Well, of course, a lot of the interactions between the Secretary General and the delegation from Azerbaijan will focus on the preparations for the COP29, for which the Secretary General has hope for great success. It comes at a critical time in our fight against climate change, which is, as the Secretary General would say, not going the right way. We need renewed commitments. We need renewed actions. And I have no doubt a number of also regional issues will come up in those discussions. Okay, I will go get our guests. Thank you.